Top 10 cameos of all time. Hello everyone and welcome to our YouTube channel. Several of the movies that we have watched have had a few scenes that really appear to be interesting, while some others might give a great and accurate explanation for the whole plot of a film. There might also be some scenes of some celebrities in a film that require great attention from the audience, resulting in a great applause for the movie, film, and many more. Well, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about, those brief scenes that you don't ever want to accidentally miss out in a film. Exactly, that's what a cameo is like. The cameo may be the equivalent of a walk-on, a blink and you'll miss it presence that's over and done with as soon as it ends. Sometimes a cameo can dominate a whole sequence so that the actor in question is giving his or her own full performance. But anyway, let's not waste our time because today we will be revealing the list of the best cameos of all time. These cameos have been trending all over the world at some point, so I'm sure that some of them are familiar to you. So grab that cup of tea and let's get started. Number 10. Sigourney Weaver in The Cabin in the Woods. The horror comedy hybrid The Cabin in the Woods was a brilliant and snappy take on horror movie tropes, eventually revealing that the handful of college students facing off against baddies in the woods are used as pawns in the larger game in which mysterious and underground gods are satiated lest the entire world could get destroyed by their rage. This final twist is revealed to the remaining characters by an imperious, all-knowing woman played by Sigourney Weaver. Weaver's own genre credentials made her the perfect cameo performer in the last scene, bringing her experience to the finale. It's not that The Cabin in the Woods is a better film for her presence, but her presence elevates the finale to something truly special. Number 9. Marcel in Silent Movie. Mel Brooks' 1976 film Silent Movie is both a spoof and loving tribute to, well, just look at the title. The film, starring Brooks, Dom DeLuise, and Marty Feldman, has an old-fashioned premise as three filmmakers try to save a struggling studio by making a silent film with cameos from all sorts of A-listers of the 1970s, from Liza Minnelli to Paul Newman. And mostly, Brooks was true to his word, as we hear only incidental music and sound effects on the soundtrack, except for one brief moment when Brooks's character calls up silent film legend Marceau to see if he'll take up a part in the film. We cut to Marceau in his French apartment fighting against an invisible gust of wind to get to his phone, where he hears the offer and utters the only word in the film, "No!" It's a great shameless gag in a truly underrated comedy. Number 8. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Aeroplane.
Minute, I know you. You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
One of the funniest films of all time, Aeroplane, or Flying High in Australia, has just about every type of joke or gag as directors-writers David Zucker, Jim Abrahams, and Jerry Zucker try whatever they can to get a laugh. One of the many jokes in the film is that trusty pilot Roger Murdoch is not only played by NBA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but he apparently is the NBA legend, at least if a precocious little boy who visits the cockpit is any indication. When the boy tells Kareem about his dad's criticisms of the NBA star's technique, the athlete drops any pretense of being an airplane pilot and just berates the kid. It's a mostly inexplicable joke, but still funny nearly 40 years later. Number 7. Christopher Walken in Pulp Fiction.
I give the watch to you.
Some of the great movie cameos are basically single-scene appearances. Two of the great cameos. We'll get to the other one soon, but this one features a well-known actor appearing briefly in a major 1990s film, in which they get one scene all to themselves. For Christopher Walken, that film was Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, at the beginning of one overall story about a gruff boxer that is Bruce Willis, who we'll talk about again too. We learn that the boxer's childhood backstory, his dad, died in Vietnam, and one of his comrades, which is Walken, has returned to gift the boy a golden watch his old man kept hidden in his ass for safekeeping. Walken's monologue is roundabout and weird and distinctive, an unexpected tangent that ends up having a profound impact for the grown-up version of that little boy. Number 6. Samuel L. Jackson in Iron Man.
Really nice.
Just as it's impossible to do a list of the greatest movie cameos without including Stan Lee, it's also impossible to do such a list without acknowledging the Marvel Cinematic Universe at all. The MCU began with the 2008 film Iron Man, which could have been a huge flop, making the last scene a real risk. The film's final gamble was in surprising audiences with a big-name cameo after the end credits. Tony Stark, which is Robert Downey Jr. mind you, is visited in his palatial abode by a tall man with an eye patch named Nick Fury, which is Samuel L. Jackson, who invites Tony to the Avengers Initiative. Considering the impact the MCU has had on culture, this cameo, which led to way more appearances, is perhaps the quintessential of all on this list. Number 5. Orson Welles in The Muppets Movie.
Famous contract with Kermit the Frog and Company.
One of the greatest family films of all time, The Muppets Movie, is chock full of cameos. Just as the variety show The Muppet Show was able to attract a lot of big-name celebrities, so too did the 1979 feature film bring Kermit, Miss Piggy, Fozzie, and other Muppets to the big screen. Though the film boasts tons of cameos with everyone from the aforementioned Mel Brooks to James Coburn, the best of all comes near the very end. Kermit and friends have arrived in Hollywood in hopes of being discovered and turned into stars. They all but break into the office of a feared executive who decides to give them the standard rich and famous contract. That executive is portrayed by a gruff, ever-large Orson Welles, who gets to cock an eyebrow slyly before giving Kermit and his friends everything they could have wanted. It's a short appearance, but a truly wonderful one all the same. Number 4. Bruce Willis in Ocean's 12.
Second, we're looking to come off this baby.
Yes, this is the part of the list where I reveal that I am a very big fan of Steven Soderbergh's 2004 sequel, Ocean's 12. It's one of the weirdest, funniest, slickest heist movies, even if the 2001 predecessor is a bit more rewatchable. That said, the best sequence in the Ocean's films, and possibly the best sequence in Soderbergh's filmography, comes in 12. For complicated reasons, Danny Ocean's wife Tess, which is Julia Roberts, has to come to Rome to play a part in the heist. That part, Julia Roberts. Things get a little out of control when the heroic criminals realize that Bruce Willis is at the same hotel they're staying at and presumes Tess is Julia Roberts. The ensuing farce is exceptionally funny, including a running gag where everyone who sees Willis both compliments him on the sixth sense and says they knew the twist the whole time. Willis's annoyed tone works wonders here in a Through the Looking Glass cameo scene. Number 3. Elon Musk in Iron Man.
Fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, good idea for an electric jet.
You do?
Yeah.
Then we'll make it work.
Many of you have noticed in 2010 that Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk had a cameo in Iron Man 2 as a spectator of the Monaco Grand Prix, pictured here. But Jon Favreau, who directed the first 2 films in the series, said Musk's involvement in the films goes further than that, hence why Musk's short cameo embedded below includes a little banter between him and Downey's Tony Stark character about working together on an electric jet. Number 2. Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones. In Game of Thrones, Ed had a short cameo on the show in 2017 as a Lannister soldier in a brief scene with Macy Williams. He performed a song called Hands of Gold during his appearance, which was taken from George R.R. Martin's original books. Some say that it was okay, but several of the people don't seem to like it, especially Christian Nan, who believes that having a cameo of famous people in a show is stupid. But who would have thought? It was still one of the top grossing at the time, and the cameo of Ed Sheeran might be one of those reasons for making it to the top. And for our number one spot, Gene Hackman in Young Frankenstein.
Here's all I ask. A temporary companion to help.
The top choice on this list works because, like the presence of Alec Baldwin in Glengarry Glen Ross, the cameo works whether or not you recognize the A-lister on screen. But unlike Baldwin, you might not realize that the blind man in Mel Brooks' best film, Young Frankenstein, is played by Academy Award winner Gene Hackman. It's a Mel Brooks movie, so the blind man ends up inadvertently viciously attacking the monster by burning him with hot soup, setting his finger on fire, and more. The keeper is Hackman's last line, said plaintively, "Where are you going?" "I was going to make espresso." A brilliant film boasted by a brilliant cameo performance. Well, that's all for this time, and thanks for watching. Have you enjoyed the video? Just give us a like and subscribe to be notified about this channel so you don't miss out on the next video. As always, have a nice day.